I just saw Miracles from Heaven, and I don't have much time because the movies are back to back. But there's some things I wanted to say about that movie. First of all, I know it looks like a Hallmark movie or a Lifetime movie, and that's not to say that those movies don't have their place. They absolutely do. I cried all the way through it. But it's not. It's really well done. It's absolutely a tearjerker. Take your handkerchief, I did. As a mom, you know, we moms, we have all had those moments where we didn't know if our child was going to be okay or not. And sometimes during those moments we've had absolutely no control over the situation. And all we can do is pray. And, you know, in this movie it's very, very real. It's very, very real. And, you know, like I said, everything in the world's going to be either conspiring to prove the existence of God or trying to tell us there isn't one. And this movie does a really good job of proving the existence of God. I hate watching children suffer. I hate watching anybody suffer. I'm an empath, and that means I feel other people's pain in my body. I get the same neurotransmitter release that they do. And watching children suffer is, it's intolerable. So for God to be telling me in my head, you're here to end all suffering, is an enormous blessing that I hang on to, especially when I see things like this. But you know, I'm sitting there watching it, and you know, and she's asking, how can a loving God, you know, let this child suffer, and I'm sitting there, you know, as the Messiah. I just want to take that pain away. But it reminds me of something that Brittany said when I told her I was the Messiah. She said, why is there so much hell? Why is it so hard? Because she had a horrible history. We all have horrible histories. Because this is a hell world. And that's the answer. This is a hell world, and in order to incarnate on this planet, we have to agree to hell, and we all choose our hell according to what can do the most good in the world. So we all have hell to go through. I can't, I feel like I look awful. And I'm just gonna say fuck it. We all, in order to incarnate on this planet, we have to choose what life circumstances we go through. And because it's a hell world right now, under the dominion of the enemy, Satan, Lucifer, the dark, whatever you feel comfortable calling it, we have to choose lives that include hell. And so we choose our hell. Our souls choose a hell that can be used to serve the highest good of all. And so, just like the article on my blog, which says, who are you in relation to what you're going through? Because we are all gonna face hell. We're all gonna face it. This is a hell world. None of us get out of it. But when we do, and especially now, when we are in the times of tribulation, we are in the end days, we are in the final, you could say judgment, but the only, you know, the judgment that's coming down is, does this serve the highest good of all? If it doesn't, it's out of here. So yeah, we can call it the final judgment. And in these days, there is only one thing that matters, and that's who you are in relation to what's happening to you. Are you going to be the one that calls God in and thus becomes an example of how God can work miracles? Or are you going to be the one that shuts God out and doesn't? And, you know, movies like this, they kind of explore both sides, because, spoilers here, you know, duh, she loses her faith. Who wouldn't? And we all lose our faith, you know. That's something, that's what I love about Pastor Dwayne's sermons that I saw before I you know, moved on to the other churches, is it was all about doubt and how we all have it. I'm the Messiah. I have doubt. I've lost my faith. Absolutely. I told you the story about this hair. When it was first cut, the haircut caused a huge crisis of faith. And we can all laugh about it now, but I wasn't laughing. And so we all do that. And so this movie showed both sides, because she does lose her faith. And it shows what that feels like when you lose your faith. It's kind of like they say in the God's Not Dead 2 movie, which is what I'm going to see next again for a third time. You know, you don't lose the pain, you just lose the hope. And you also lose the ability to look for the miracles, because Christ is a messenger. Above all, Christ is a messenger. And so when you ask, then you have to look for the message. And if you're not looking because you don't believe, you'll miss the message. Messages. Endless messages pouring down on you like a river, like a Niagara Falls. But if you're not looking, you'll miss it. An example would be when I was going through the halls of Amente initiation, which felt like severe depression, I didn't let go of my faith. That wasn't happening. That just wasn't a problem. And so when I got the intuition to process out loud on my camera, I did it. And once I did that, then for the rest of the night, I just watched that video and poured love and compassion on myself, and watched myself process over and over and over again, which cemented the processing in my heart and mind so that it could truly transform me. But if I had been stuck in the resistance of, oh, I hate being depressed, and, you know, God hates me, and I hadn't been listening and remaining available, I would have missed that, and the feeling of, you know, why don't you make a video? I would have been like, oh, I look like shit, that's why, and I feel like shit, that's why, and I don't want to make a video. And of course, Talia, God, Jesus, tricked me into making it by letting me believe nobody was going to see it but me. Because of course she's like, well, nobody has to see it but you. It doesn't matter what you look like. This is for you. So of course I'm laying there, you know, looking like I look, and it's going to be shared with the whole world. And it's one of the most beautiful videos. I'm extraordinarily proud of that video. And obviously, again, I earned my stripes with that video. I'm inordinately proud of that video. I think it's one of the most amazing things that I've ever done. But I wouldn't have done it if I'd been in a place of resistance and anger and resentment over my depression. I had to be listening, be watching, because that is the key. And Anna, in the movie, this is a total spoiler, she's open. At the moment that she is led to her miracle, she's open, she's listening, and she follows. And that's the key. Even when you're suffering, even when it hurts, even when it looks hopeless and you want to die, remain open. Keep looking. Keep listening. Because God, Christ the messenger, your Savior, is always there, always communicating to you what will serve your highest good. So keep listening. Okay. So, I just saw God's Not Dead 2 for the third time. I almost said God's Not Dead 3, but that's coming out later. Every time I see it, I get new insights. And the most important one that God wants me to pass on this time has to do with the fact that, and you know, if you look at my video where I expose the Vineyard Church for their hypocrisy, you will understand when I say that I have more in common with the atheists than I do with the Christians. Because the same things that piss them off, piss me off. Misogyny, that's not love. Homophobia, that's not love. Denying a woman the control over her own body, that's not love. Different churches looking down on one another, that's not love. So, you know, oh, shame over sexuality, that's not love. So all of the things that the atheists see as part of Christianity, that make them feel like Christianity is a blight that needs to be erased, I believe those things are a blight that need to be erased as well, because they are not Christ. They do not serve the highest good. And maybe there are passages in the Bible that support them, and maybe there aren't. I don't give a fuck. Okay? Let's get that clear right now. Pastor Dwayne answered the question about the Bible really helpfully for me when somebody, you know, he took questions and he answered them on stage, and one of them was about the Bible, and he said that the Methodists believe that everything that you need for your salvation can be found in the Bible. But he said there's a lot of other stuff in there too. And that's what I told him took guts to say. Because, you know, he didn't come right out and say that some of that stuff maybe isn't so enlightened. But, you know, that's the implication. And, you know, I don't know a lot about the Bible. I only know what I get from direct revelation. And also I get what I get from when I do read things about what Jesus has said. And sometimes I will look at something that it says Jesus said, and being Jesus, I can look at that and go, wait a minute, that's not quite right. And I can tell that I have been plagiarized. I can tell that I've been taken out of context. I can tell that my words have been misconstrued or reordered or something like that. Or just parts of what I said were left out in order to highlight the parts that made the church or the social control agencies of the time that were making a decision about what to leave in the Bible and what to leave out. They didn't like those parts, and so they just cut those parts out and took this because they're like, okay, we like that he said this, we'll leave that in. Well, he said stuff around that changed the meaning and the impact of that. And so things like that happened. So anyway, yeah, I did want to say that. I also wanted to say that in God's Not Dead 2, when they are being subpoenaed for their sermons, they bring up some verse in Ephesians. I don't know which one it is, but it's about how this is a spiritual war. And that, I think, it's relevant and it's related to the fact that people think that atheism is the way to go in order to get rid of all of this social control. The problem with that is that your controllers know you are God also. Yeah. When you people from Vineyard Church were gathering all around me and yelling in my face that I was not God and that I was not the Messiah, it was very sad because you do not know that you are God also. But that's the thing, is your enemy does. And so they have made you fear that. They have made you mock that. They have made you deny that. And they have terrorized you into not learning about that. Just as they have terrorized you into not learning about astrology, because you were also saying that astrology was evil. Doesn't it say something about God putting the stars and the planets in the sky to be signs? Pretty sure it says something like that. And of course, I know what I have been given by direct revelation. I have not studied, I'm not an astrologer. I follow astrologers. God puts me on the trail of the best astrologers in the world. And I can tell you why, but I'm not going to tell you here. It might talk about it on my blog. I don't know. We can have that talk some other time. The point is, this is a spiritual war. This is not a political war. This is not an intellectual war. And fighting it with political tools and intellectual tools is exactly what the enemy wants you to do. Because as long as you deny your spirituality, you're denying your power. You've only got one source of power. Who do you think gives you your intellect? You don't have to call it God if you don't want to, because of all of the dogma, the religious bullshit attached to that. That's fine. That's just a name. There is a reality of you which exists outside of your body, which is greater than this one lifetime that you are living right now. And I call it God simply because because it's simple. I'm all about keep it simple, sweetheart. And so, a lot of people call it God, so, let's call it God. You could call it Source. You can call it the All. You can call it the Divine. And what I am telling you is that there is one consciousness which is present in all humans. It wants to experience life on this planet about 8 billion different ways. It is just like when we play Sims 2. We take all different kinds of lives. We want to experience that game through all different kinds of lives and have all different kinds of experiences. The God consciousness, the All, the Divine, is doing the same thing. And so that is our reality, and this is the game. And if we do not get in touch with our greater reality, then we become a pawn. We absolutely become a pawn, because while we are keeping Jesus out of the classroom, they are practicing black mass rituals with our children and not telling us. You can look it up on YouTube, and if you hang out on Twitter, I'll teach you. I have taught it. It is in the Twitter feed. Something in the sky. It is in the Twitter feed, and so once that's turned into some kind of a learning material, it's there. But you can also look it up. Anyway, my point is, they're keeping you away from your spirituality while they are using theirs. They make full use of their spiritual powers for darkness. They practice rituals. They use symbols. They absolutely go by astrology. They do all of the things that they have terrorized you into not doing, so that you will have no power against them. So when you deny your spirituality, you're denying your own power. And that's why Jesus, Christ, God, is your only salvation. Because your only salvation lies in reclaiming your own spiritual power. Without it, you are just a meat sack. You are a receptacle. You are a vehicle that anything can use. If God can't use you, something will. All right. I think that's about all I wanted to say after this one, and I am hungry. So if I come off a little moody, that's why. I'm starving. So I'm going to go get pizza for my family. Okay, so thanks for watching.